Rimworld is for masochists. You see, between the years of 2013 to 2026, crime has been significantly lower than usual. Now, a lot of people want to give this credit to the legalization of weed.
You need more.
I need more.
Oh, you need more.
But believe it or not, this was actually due to the release of the game Rimworld, because all of the serial killers and crazy people took their wild thoughts and began executing them in Rimworld instead of in real life. And ever since then, things have been better than ever. I mean, come on guys, just imagine if Jeffrey Dahmer had Rimworld back in his day. Instead of cutting up all those people and eating them and doing all that freaky shit, he could have just played Rimworld as a freaky cannibal and had a grand old time. Rimworld is an outlet for masochists and people with mental disabilities.
I'm retarded?
And the chances are, if you're watching this video, you got something. I don't know what you have, but you definitely have something. And if you don't, then by the end of this video, you will have something. Because I'm here to tell you why Rimworld is awesome. A game where masochists, aspiring young genociders, and human skin salesmen can truly be themselves. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering, what is Rimworld? Rimworld is your cocaine on a hot summer day. Rimworld is your grandma spending all of her free time running up slot machines. Rimworld is that sweet feeling of relaxation after holding in a piss while stuck in traffic. All that's to say is Rimworld is a sandbox story generator survival game, and it is quite literally one of a kind. I said this in my Kenshi review, and I'm gonna say it here as well. I can't tell you what game Rimworld is like because there are no other games like Rimworld. But what I can do is show you why this game is meant for absolutely insane people. To start things off, you have 4 generic starts to choose from. You can start Crash Landed, you can start as a Lost Tribe, a Rich Explorer, or if you really hate yourself, you can do Naked Brutality. But unless you are mentally gifted with an extra chromosome, I recommend doing Crash Landed for your first time. In the end, none of these starts will change your ultimate ending, they just decide how difficult your initial start is. As I mentioned, this game is a story generator and you choose your ending, but I'll get to that part later. Starting off, you'll have to choose your storyteller. Your storyteller essentially dictates how much you want to be tortured throughout your playthrough. Do you like cock and ball torture? Well, that's awesome. Go with Cassandra Classic. She gives you a good exponential curve throughout the playthrough that seems to be relatively fair. What are your thoughts on being tickled to death? If that's your choice of freak, then choose Phoebe Chillax. Playing Phoebe is like playing creative mode on Minecraft. Then there's Randy Random. Playing with Randy Random as your torturer is like opening up a bag of Bean Boozled candies. You're either gonna get birthday cake flavor or hot dog ass fart surprise. All that's to say is Randy Random is truly a random experience, and the potential is limitless. And that's why when I started my first playthrough, I chose Randy. Something I love about Rimworld is that the game already knows that its audience consists of mentally deranged people. Because when choosing a difficulty, there is quite literally a difficulty called losing is fun. Personally, after playing this game for about 300 hours, I haven't even made it past Blood and Dust, but it is there for those of you who need to scratch that sadistic need. But in my professional opinion, I think Adventure Story is a safe option for most new players. What I love about Rimworld is that no other game can prepare you for the true Rimworld experience. I played games like Civilization, The Sims, Kenshi, and I was told that Rimworld was just some fucked up demon child that combines a bunch of games like that. When I started up my first game, it was pretty intimidating. There's like 50 different tabs for each thing, the screen is populated with a ton of numbers and text, and my little dudes weren't even moving despite doing the usual click and drag technique. And I'm just gonna state the obvious here, I had no clue what to do in this game. But the cool part about Rimworld is that if you can't find problems to solve, Rimworld has no problem shoving them down your throat and telling you what those problems are. The first thing is your pawns are absolute tools. These guys will literally actively try to kill themselves if you don't instruct them not to. Playing Rimworld might as well be a simulator for having a newborn child, because if you don't tell them not to do something, they will assume it's okay. Oh, your pawn's best friend just died and he needs to be buried? Well, you better bury him pretty damn quickly because these pawns have no object permanence, and if you don't, he's gonna become a 5-course meal for your next pawn. So you were able to grow smoke joints to soothe the moods of your colony. Congrats, your pawn will literally smoke himself into a coma and now he needs lung replacements. So you managed to kill an enemy attacker who was raiding your base. Congratulations, your pawn will celebrate by wearing the gear of his fallen enemy. Then he will go on a murder spree where he beats the living shit out of people because he has a mood debuff from wearing the same armor that he just picked up because someone died in it. And don't even get me started on what happens if your pawn eats without a table. Let's just not even go there. Anyways, my point is Rimworld is a game where you have to constantly manage your moods of your colonists. And if you don't manage those moods properly, there are some pretty serious consequences that usually involve your pawn trying to kill themselves or someone else. But once you get the hang of moods, you'll realize that the game has so much to offer than just being a colony simulator. At its heart, Rimworld is a story generator through and through. I'd say this matters more than any genre you could throw on Rimworld. Let me give you an example of the absolute crazy Rimworld story that the game decided to generate for me. I decided I wanted to do a medieval Rimworld playthrough where I'd start off as a peasant with nothing and become a tyrant king by the end of it. I was off on my lonesome, getting my bearings for the land and building up my little shack to protect me from the harsh elements of the world. After some time, a pawn named Chinchilla requested to join my colony for a few days. She was a refugee that needed a place to stay and would work as long as I fed her. So of course, I decided to accept her. She helped out a ton and literally built half of my colony with me for free. After 11 days, she thanked me for allowing her to stay with me and decided to leave. But I needed a helping hand. I couldn't do all this crap by myself. So I decided to arrest her ass and throw her in a dungeon. I figured if she wouldn't join my colony, then I'd just turn her into a slave. Well, turns out some people don't actually like being enslaved. So after some time, she initiated a prison break where she ran off with some of my armors and weapons too. I didn't really think much of it and I decided to continue on and move on with my life. I recruited several more people, built up my base even more, and I truly had a thriving kingdom even without her help. However, almost an entire year later, she got imprisoned by another kingdom named House Hess, and out of all the people she could have called to ask for help, she decided to call me, the guy who previously imprisoned her in a dungeon. And what did she need? Well, she needed to be saved from another person's dungeon. She said in return for saving her, she joined my colony. And there's actually a ton more lore behind this, and there's a whole thing, and I saved her, and she betrays me, and it's a lot. I made a whole hour-long medieval Rimworld video, and I'll link that in the description for you guys if you want to hear more about that story. But the point of that entire story is Rimworld created a story for me based on the decisions that I made in game. And I find that absolutely awesome considering this game has no story to begin with. And this is a thing that the game consistently does. I had a character who killed his own brother in an enemy raid. I had someone who got married to his loving wife and then cheated on her with her best friend. I didn't even know story generator was a genre I enjoyed until I played this game. And I can't even find another game like this that not only allows you to create your own story, but also creates these weird, goofy, crazy scenarios for you that can completely alter how you decide to go forward with your playthrough. And speaking of going forward, once you grow in Rimworld, there's so much more waiting for you. As you gain more and more wealth, the world takes notice of that. Rimworld has a very unique scaling system that exists on top of the already selectable game difficulty, and it makes it so that the game is constantly challenging you to do better. Have you ever had a friend or a person in your life that's kind of always a hating ass bitch for no reason? I think Rimworld is that person. The more wealth you gain and the better you do, Rimworld's hate will shine brighter, throwing even tougher and more insane challenges at you. There are tons of ways Rimworld can can punish you, like sending 100 wild killer squirrels to come attack your base or randomly giving your colony the bubonic plague. But I think the main form that Rimworld punishes you through is raids. An enemy raid can absolutely make or break your playthrough in a matter of seconds. Most people in Rimworld want to cave in your face with a wooden club and sell your leather to the nearest trader, so you better start crafting defenses in order to survive on the rim. This is one of my favorite parts about Rimworld that turns it into more of a real-time strategy game than a colony story generator. Enemies will attack you from the sides of the map. They'll usually spend some time preparing to attack you, but some will hit you head on. Now, there's tons of ways to defend yourself against these attacks. You can build security traps, there are turrets you can make, bombs, and you can even gear up your colonists and put them on the front lines to defend as well. But if you haven't noticed by now, Rimworld players prefer more unconventional methods. Instead of being a normal person and just fighting to the death, your colonists versus theirs, Rimworld players choose to make the weirdest jigsaw death trap puzzles I've ever seen in my life just to avoid combat. What's crazy is they wouldn't even need to do this if they just played the game on an easier difficulty, but as I said earlier, Rimworld players are masochists. Because they play on such hard difficulties, most of the raids in Rimworld end up being dozens if not hundreds of people versus your 10 colonists. So instead of fighting these people 1 versus 1, people end up making hallways, allowing everyone in the hallway to clump together, and then burning everyone in the hallway alive. Another crazy one I've seen is people make roof traps and then destroy the roofs, causing dozens to be absolutely crushed by horrible architecture. But I'm not gonna lie, despite these methods being somewhat cheesy, this is the fun of Rimworld. The game constantly challenges you to find new ways to overcome your foes. Sometimes you will get an absolutely ridiculous raid that comes to demolish your kingdom. And coming up with a crazy idea on how you're gonna survive against that raid is what makes this game such an interesting and unique experience. No single Rimworld playthrough is the same, and I feel like every time I play, I'm learning something new about the game, or I'm figuring something out that I never knew existed before. And once you get the hang of building your kingdom, moods, raids, there's an entire world for you to explore full of crazy story-generated quests, ancient dungeons that contain loot, and even legendary items that can completely break the game. The truth is, Rimworld is for masochists, and you can't change my opinion on that. But this game is something I like to call an everything game. It has so many features in it like real-time strategy elements, base building mechanics, economy simulator, that is quite literally a game that has everything you could possibly want packed into one. I'll admit, when I first played this game, it was an absolute shit show because 1, I'm illiterate, and 2, there is so much stuff to micromanage that I wasn't even sure if I was gonna have fun. But if you like a challenge, I highly recommend you stick around because before you know it, you'll be laughing at all the things that you once deemed difficult. And soon enough, you'll be another masochist rimmer just like the rest of us playing on the hardest possible difficulty just to feel something. So anyways, if you couldn't tell by now, this was my review on Rimworld. I've spent about 4 months of my time playing Rimworld now, and even though I haven't even scratched the surface of the game, I thought it would be interesting to talk about some of the things I loved and hated about it. Now, I wanted to wait till I beat the game to actually make a review, but let's be real, I think like 1% of players have even beat this game to begin with. So anyways, if you resonated with some of the things I said or felt differently, please let me know in the comments and I'll be responding as much as I can. And if you want to see the full video of the absolute shit show of me playing Rimworld for the first time, check that out here. I think it'll give you a good laugh. With that being said, I love you guys and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.